Today, I'm going to use as a case to demonstrate the building of scenarios. I'm going to use a case that usually I use for my course. So I won't be building the scenario today, but I'm going to show the case. And after I build the scenario with all the assumptions in the case, I ran into a little problem for the company with the numbers. So that's what I'm going to use this problem here. That's what we're going to use today to try to build scenarios and find out how we can solve that problem with the use of scenarios. So, the case. I'm going to talk really briefly about the case because we don't need to go into too much details. The company is called Vertex Manufacturing. It's a company that produces circuit boards and electronic components. Vertex is located in Silicon Valley. It has a high quality reputation. It's very competitive, cutting edge, and it's seeking expansion. So that's why we see a little bit of a growth and the possibility of growing even more because they're seeking expansion in Europe and Asia. I'm gonna go through a few of the assumptions, not all of them, because as I said before, the case is already built, the model is already ready. So we just need to highlight some of the assumptions that we're gonna need for the case when you're building the scenarios. So the company has a planned capex of 10 million a year, and that's just to keep all the machinery up to date with the competitors. It's not to make a big revamp of all the machinery, but just to keep them good and updated and still being competitive with the other players on the market. It's expecting an average growth of 2% a year and a price increase of 2% a year, plus inflation, of course, for the next 5 years. The company has high average days of sales outstanding, 90 days. That means it takes 90 days for them to receive money from sales. It has a high average days of inventory, 140 days. It takes 140 days for them between the time that they buy the raw material and they convert that into ready to sell inventory. But with all those high days of sales and days of inventory, they pay their vendors in just 15 days. So it's very easy to guess what the problem is with the numbers. This company has a cash problem, of course, because it's not generating cash fast enough to keep up with the investment that they have for capex. They have a huge capex investment. However, they're not keeping cash long enough into the bank to make sure they cover for this capex. So I built the model, all of the schedules that I needed to build the model. I'm going to show you right away in Excel. And after I built it, I went to see a few charts that I usually take a look in this company as the FP&A of the company. So I went to take a look at some charts to see what is the issue, what's going on with their numbers. So the first one I saw is the profit margin, and it's quite good. They are growing and they have a positive gross margin, and it's going up. They have profit, they're profitable, and you can see that their profit margin is going up. They start the period that we are analyzing with a strong cash position. They started with 48,000. I'm not sure if it's 48 or 43. I cannot see very well here, but very strong cash position. We can see already in the historical years that it's starting to go down because those three first years are historical. Then on the projected, as I put on the assumptions for the rest of the model, I see the cash completely disappears. So it ends up in 2028 with no cash at all. So, as the FP&A person on this hypothetical company, I went to talk to a few people, and when you're trying to solve a problem, you can find thousands of solutions. So I went to talk to people, and that's usually what the FP&A person does. They go talk to people and they go understanding what are possible solutions. They're going to test, and then they're going to make the scenarios and test that on the model. So I went to talk to a few people and I found two possible solutions that I will try now to put on the Excel model and see how it works on my numbers. The first one is an operation strategy. The second one is a sales strategy. Let's see how this translates into the assumptions and into the numbers. So the proposal from the COO team was that I increase capex, and not only increase, but bring all the capex investment to the first year that I'm projecting, so I can revamp all the machinery and take a boost, a technology boost on my machinery to increase efficiency and revenue. The team believes that with that, I will be able to decrease days of inventory outstanding. On the sales strategy, they're telling me if I don't take out that price increase, remember I said it's 2% a year plus inflation. So if I don't increase price as much, I might be able to stimulate the demand. That's going to bring down the DSO, the days of sales outstanding. It means that I can charge my customers, have them pay me a little faster to get the money in a little faster. And also, I can increase the volume growth with that price proposition. So, those are the three assumptions that I'm going to touch with this strategy, with the scenarios that I'm going to build for this strategy. So, just a summary of the two strategies. The operation side, right now, we invest 10 million a year, and the days of inventory outstanding is 140 days. It takes 140 days for me to produce and be ready to sell. If I invest, they are saying that if I invest 30 million in 2024, no more on the next few years, I can decrease my days of inventory outstanding to 125 days. If I go a little more aggressive and I invest 50 million in 2024, I can decrease my days of inventory outstanding to 90 days. On the sales strategy, they're telling me right now I have a price increase of 2% every year. And that brings me to days of sales outstanding of 90 days. I give my customers 90 days to pay. And in average, of course. And that brings me a volume increase, predicted volume increase of 2% every year. So they're telling me that if instead of increasing my price 2%, I increase my price only 1%, I can reduce the time that people have to pay me from 90 days to 60 days. And that will bring me 1% more of volume increase. I'll have a 3% a year volume increase. On a bit of more aggressive strategy for sales, I would increase the price only 0.5% a year. That will bring me days of sales outstanding of 30 days and a volume increase of 4% a year. So let's jump into Excel. I will paste this there and you see how it goes and how we put the scenarios together. Okay, I have my model here. Starting on the executive scenario, executive summary, I'm sorry. As I showed you, we have a cash conversion cycle of 215 at the end. I used the average of the last 3 years, and it gave me a cash conversion cycle of 215. I'm going to try to reduce this and bring more cash to the next few years. So let's just create a sheet here, and I'll call you scenarios. The first thing I usually do is I take off the grid lines. So I'll have it here. I will copy the first few lines of one of my statements. That's usually what I do. And you see, if you see here, everything is linked on the assumptions page. That's a very good, I don't need this, so I'm gonna delete. That's a very good best practice to use because if you link everything on the assumptions page, you just have one place to change. So let's just take a look real quick on the assumptions. Here, that's if I need to change the name of the company, I'll change it here, and it will change everywhere else because everything is linked on the assumptions page. If I need to change the period, instead of projecting the 5 years, I want to use the same structure and project per month or per quarter or whatever I want to do it, I can just change it here on the assumptions page, and it's going to replicate throughout the whole model. But most important is whenever I have here a number, if you see those numbers blue, it means that they are hard-coded. So I know that if I need, for example, to change the capacity, I'm just going to change here, and it's going to replicate throughout the model using this new capacity that I just changed it here. So that's what makes it so dynamic. It's because I have one place to change it, and it will change all over the model. Everything is going to change. So let's go back to the scenarios. For the scenarios, I don't need historical, so I'm just going to delete this and take off the border. Right here, so we know what kind of scenarios we need. So for the operation scenarios, let me write down operations here, make into a title, so it look better. For the operation scenarios, I need to create a scenario for CapEx and days of inventory outstanding. So I'm going to copy this from my assumptions page. Okay, and then I go back to scenarios. Let's leave a line here. And I'm going to paste this 4 times so I can create the 3 scenarios and the active one. Let me take this out of the way for now. As I said before, I don't need the historical, so I'm just going to delete this. Let me open a little more so we can see better. And I'm going to write here the 3 different scenarios I'm going to create. Now we'll use this after for reference. Aggressive. Just make them all look the same. I can even do this just to look it pretty. I can put like a faded color. So here is going to be my active scenario, right? This is the current one. This is the conservative one. And here's the aggressive one. So let's bold those. And I'm going to, just to make the visual looks good, I'm going to indent a little bit. The active one, I will wrap it into an outside box. So it will look like this is the active one. Now, okay, the current one, I don't need to do anything. It remains the same. But let's take a look on the other propositions they have for us. On the conservative one, they're telling me that if I invest 30 million on the first year and I don't need to invest anything else, I can decrease my days of inventory outstanding to 125 days. And on the aggressive scenario, if I invest 50,000 and nothing else after, I can decrease my days of inventory outstanding to 90 days. So there you go. We have 3 scenarios. Let me hide this for now. So now we are going to create a combo box. You go here on developer, insert, form controls, combo box. And then you draw the combo box right here. Okay? Right now it's empty, but I'm going to format the control. So you click with the right button of your mouse and click on format control. And then you're going to, on input range, you're going to choose the options of scenarios that you have. And then on cell link, you're going to choose any cell you want for reference. So I'm choosing F11. What happens with this is when I click current on my combo box, the reference cell is going to be 1 because current is my first option. Then when I click conservative, it's going to show 2. And when I click aggressive, it's going to show 3 because it's my third option. I could have numerous scenarios here. I could just list a whole bunch of them. I just have 3 now. So that's what I'm using for now. So I will put this combo box on top of my F11 cell just for aesthetics purpose. And I will create a formula here. And I like to use this formula. There are many ways to use here, many formulas that you can use here. I like to use the choose formula for its simplicity. I think it's simple enough that we can use it. So I'm going to choose the F11 cell, and I'm going to lock it using F4. And then I will choose 3 options, which are the 3 options below. I just separate with a comma and I choose the 3 values that I want. It could be, again, it could be as many options as you want to make scenarios. I'm just making 3 for operations and 3 for cells. So I close here and let's test it. If I click current, it's going to show me the current option. If I click conservative, it's going to show me the conservative option. And if I click aggressive, it's going to show me the aggressive option. So it's working fine. We are going to copy and paste formulas so we don't lose the formattation. And now I can test again. It's working. It's giving me the scenarios for each one of my options. Let's do the same for cells. Let's go back, pull this back here, and let's analyze what assumptions I need. I need to do the price increase. I need to do the TSO, which is the days of sales outstanding. It's also called days of accounts receivable is the same, and I believe on this model, it's being called days of accounts receivable, and volume increase. So I'm gonna go to my assumptions. Let me put this out of the way. I'm gonna go to my assumptions now, and I'm going to get price increase, volume growth, and days of accounts receivable. I'll copy this and paste on my Excel 4 times again, leaving some space between them so I can denominate my scenarios. So let me just indent already. And this is the active. This is the current. Not supposed to be indented. This is the conservative. Also not indented. And this is the aggressive. I'll bold it. Let's wrap the active scenario. So look like this is the active scenario. I don't need the historical data. And let's translate what they told me into the scenario. So the current remains the same. The conservative was supposed to be volume growth of 3%, price increase of 1%, and DSO 60 days. I copy and paste all over. And again, you could have different values for each one of the years. In this case, I'm just doing flat all over the 5 years, but you could have seasonality, you could have anything you want on those scenarios. So here we have volume growth of 4%, price increase of 0.5, and let me just in here so we can see, and 30 days of sales outstanding. So now I don't need this anymore. Now I have the 3 scenarios stated. Let me create my combo box. So I go here, developer, insert, combo box, and then I draw a combo box right here. The size I want. Format control. Then I choose the 3 options. A cell link, which is, let's keep the F and do the F29. And I hit OK. So now when I hit current or conservative or aggressive, it's gonna pick the numbers, the number of the option that I chose. So let's go here and choose, and I will choose the F9 number, hit at F4, and I'll choose my 3 options. After I've done that, let me just test it. 2%, conservative 3%, aggressive 4%. Yeah, it's working fine. Then I'll copy, paste formulas, and because this is formulas, I'll paint it black. Let me do the same here. Let me paint it black. So I have in blue, I have the hard-coded numbers. I can change those whenever I want. Let me put this in the right place. Make it pretty. Okay, so let me keep on the current for now. And the controls are working fine. So now I go to my assumptions page and I'm going to link this on the active cell. So for volume growth, I'll go back to assumptions, volume growth. And because it's a link, now it's black. For price increase, I go back here on scenarios and I do price increase. Days of accounts receivable, the same. And now let me do the days of inventory for the other one. And the CapEx. So it doesn't change anything for now because I'm still on the current scenario. But if I click here on the conservative one and I go back to my assumptions, now it's not going to be 10 million every year. It's going to be 30 million on the first year and nothing else. And the days of inventory will change from 140 to 141, I don't remember, to 125. Okay, so let's keep on the current one. And let's do one more thing. Here on my executive summary, I'd like to have a little bit of control over the scenario so I can test it and see the changes right away. So I'm going to create another combo box here. And now right here, operational. Let me put this, operational strategy. And the combo box, I'm going to format with the same format that I did on the other one. So I have the 3 options. And I go to my, I believe it's F. It's not here. I'm going to click on this little arrow and then I go to scenarios and I'll do the F11 one. Click here and okay. So what happens here, I mess it up everything, right? It's because it's empty here. But as soon as I put back on current, everything goes back to normal. So now I can control here, whatever I put it here, it will go to my scenario and it will change it here too. So let's go back to current and let's create another one for sales. Developer, insert, form control, combo box. And I'm gonna draw my combo box right here. Format control, and then I'll go on this little arrow here. I'll go to scenarios, choose the range, then go again to scenarios, and I'll choose the F29. Click on the arrow again and hit OK. Okay, so now I can control from here and I can check my scenarios to see how much they are working or not, and if I have to do any adjustment to it. So here on the current situation, remember, I have a very high cash conversion cycle of 215 days, very high for this industry. It might be normal for some industries. It depends. For this industry, 250 days is not very competitive. It means that I'm taking too long to transform raw material into cash, while other companies are doing this faster. So if I want to be competitive, I want to check the benchmark of the industry and try to keep the same or be more efficient to be competitive. So in this case, we need to reduce this a little bit. So on the conservative option scenario for my operational strategy, I do see an improvement. My cash conversion cycle comes to 200. I hope you're being able to see. I hope it's not too small for you. It comes up to 200. Let me just do this here so you probably will be able to see better. Okay. And I do see some cash coming back after a couple of years. On the first year, I don't see cash, and let's check on the cash flow. Why? I'm going to go to my cash flow. So I will see that on the operating activities cash flow, I am profitable, so I do see cash coming in through the operations, which is good. But because I have a huge capex coming out of 30 million, this 8 million is not being able to cover. So I'm going under my cash. I still have obligations from financing, like paying debt or paying dividends. So at the end, I end up with zero cash. And it's not negative cash just because I have this revolving credit facility, which is a credit line with my bank, and it can be any kind of revolving credit that I created here on this model. So as soon as I have less than zero cash, because there's no such a thing as negative cash, you owe somebody, it will kick in right into my short-term debt, which is this revolve credit facility. So you see here that 2.8 million comes in. And then on the year after, where I do make more cash, I'll pay back this short-term debt. So if you go here on my balance sheet, it also comes in that I have a balance now on my short-term debt for this year. However, this is the worst type of debt that you can have because it's expensive. So if you know already that we are going to spend more money on capex and we are going to need an extra amount of cash on that year, we can actually plan ahead and try to get a long-term debt with a better interest rate, or maybe issue some shares or do something to raise capital to cover for this capex, big capex disbursement. And we are going to take care of this. I just wanted to check here the other options, but we are going to take care of this cash issue right away. So on the aggressive option, it gets even worse. I really go down with my cash conversion cycle, which kind of solves the problem long term. But because I have a huge disbursement, let's go check the model again. On this case, I have a huge disbursement of 50 million on the first year. It's an aggressive type of boost in the machinery, so it's expensive. Because I'm spending so much more money on it, it takes me a while to recover. So I won't see a positive cash until 2028. And meanwhile, if you see here, my revolving credit kicks in. I borrowed 21 million in 2024 to cover for this. And then every year after, with whatever money I make, I'm paying back this short-term debt, which is expensive. So one more reason for us to plan ahead and try to find another way to raise capital to cover for this 50 million. So let's check. Let's put back on the current here on the operational. And let's check the sales strategy. So if I go to the conservative strategy, you will see that my cash starts to come back, but not enough. You see that it's still going down, and I still end 2028 without cash. And that's because I still have to keep my machinery running, and I still have to keep investing on machinery every year to keep it current, not to keep it running, but to keep it updated. So I keep spending capex every year of 10 million, and then my cash goes out of the window the same way. If I see the aggressive sales, it does help a little, but you see that it's still going down. So I kind of need this change in the operational strategy. If I do the conservative strategy and the sales aggressive strategy, it does help a little because I do have some cash to cover my 2024. Let's check here. So what happens when I kick in the sales strategy, I have more operational cash flow. So on the first year that I'm going to spend 30 million, and I already had the year before, I had 24 million on my cash plus the 12. I have enough money not to go and not to have to do the short-term debt anymore. So it would work. I just think it's a little bit of a risk relying on an aggressive sales strategy. What if something goes wrong? What if volume doesn't go up all the way they're expecting it to go up? So I decided to go back and do a little adjustment on my scenarios. I'm going to try to raise money to cover for this investment and see how it plays on my model. So let me go back here on the assumptions, and I will choose preferred shares issuance. Now I already have here the dividends. I'm going to put it there. So I will first, let me just make some space. Let me create 2 lines here, and you'll see how quick that is. So I'll go back to assumptions. I'll copy this. And on scenarios, I'll just paste this. So on the current one, that's the, actually I could put 0 here because we don't have preferred shares yet. So this is something that we are beginning. So on the first one, I could put 10 million. I could be raising 10 million in preferred shares and paying 5% of dividends. And on the aggressive one, I could do 15 million and pay, let's say, 7% dividends. So I can attract more. Of course, this all needs to be researched, to know for sure if this makes sense, but it's a possibility. Let's pretend we already did all the research and we know that it's viable. This is a viable scenario. So we go here and we are going to copy this formula over here and paint it black. Wrap around. So let's see. If I do current, it's this way. If I do conservative, it's going to pick the 10 million for raising shares. And if I do aggressive, it's going to pick the 15 million. So let's go back to the assumptions. And I'm going to link this on my active scenario. The issuance. And I can just pull down. No, let's do the right way because then I don't lose the format. All right, so this now becomes black because it's a link. And when I change here to conservative, now I have 10 million of preferred share issuance. So let me go back before we see the summary. Let me go back to the model and see how this plays. So I'm going to show you the schedule that I did for the equity. Let me just start with the current. So in the schedule, if you see the current situation, I'm not issuing any type of preferred share. So there's no dividend payment. Somebody asked me about the dividend in the webinar. There's no dividend payment in the current situation, but the calculation, and that's what makes a dynamic model. The calculation is already, the schedule is ready for changes in assumptions. So even though I don't have issuance of preferred shares, I'm accounting for at any time, if I change that zero on the assumptions for something, that's what I'm going to do now, it's going to calculate correctly. So if I change here to conservative, and if I go back to my schedule, it's calculating that I'm issuing 10 million and paying 5% dividends. And so the dividends is right here. It's going to flow through my retained earnings. It's already accounting for this dividend. And then everything is going to go through it, all the model. And my balance sheet is still balances because it's dynamic. All the formulas are in place and the calculations are flowing through the model in a way that I can just change the assumptions or create a scenario or create whatever I want here. And my balance sheet is going to still balance. I don't need to go over and change anything. So let's see how it goes here. If I use the current, I don't have cash. If I use the current for both, I don't have cash by the end of 2027. But now if I use the conservative, now I'm covering for the 2024. So if I see here on my cash flow, you see that 30 is coming out, but 10 is coming in to cover, and I end up my year with cash. So I think that will probably solve the situation. I can even play a little bit and have 5 million and 10 million here. Maybe I don't need all of this. And I'll see here that it's lower, but there's still some cash in 2024. This might be the option. Or maybe I'll do just this little raise of capital and apply the sales conservative or aggressive strategy, lowering my, I'll lower my cash conversion cycle to 140. I will raise some money, and I can see here on the model, I am raising 5 million. I am paying some dividends, and then I'll see there on the P&L, I am paying 125 on the first year because it's an average, and then on the year after, 250 of dividends, of preferred dividends, okay? And that's the one that I show here on the P&L. But either way, I have that option to change my scenarios accordingly. And what I want to point here, and I want you to take from this webinar is the most important thing that plays a big role here is the simplicity. Yes, this is a very simple way to create scenarios, but on a dynamic model, this can be used as a tool. If you go to a meeting to solve a cash issue like this one, or if you go to a strategic meeting, this could serve as a tool to determine the values that you're going to try to achieve in the next few years, or any type of budget meeting to try to come up with the assumptions for a budget or for a strategic plan, for anything like that. You can actually use this model, use this type of model, and use this technique to create scenarios on top of your model. It's going to be much easier, much quicker I don't like to see when people say, oh, I have to make changes. Let's create another scenario. Can you imagine if I go and say, okay, let me go back to my desk and let me spend a week remodeling my financial model, redoing every calculation so I can see if this scenario works. It's not a good option. If you go back and if you see how quick I did all of this right on the spot, live during the meeting, fast on this, it makes much more sense. Okay, so as you saw, we had a very simple technique to make up scenarios. It's very easy when you make a simple scenario and a simple technique to have control over your model. So those are the things that I usually say to my students and to the people that I cross my journey is keep it simple. So the main thing that I want you to take from today's webinar is the simplicity of the solution. If you have a simple model with simple calculations, you can build anything, any kind of complexity on top of it. So my main advice for you is what? Simple formulas, simple models. You keep everything simple, it's easy to maintain, easy to audit, and free of mistakes. Dynamic. You saw my model, how dynamic it is, with having an assumptions page with all the hard coded numbers there. I know that I only have to change my values on one place. When you do that, you can plug anything onto that place and it's going to change the whole model. It's going to flow through the model as we saw it. Clear calculations. Try to understand the calculations and make it very clear in your model. That will help people that is not very familiar with the model to understand what you're trying to calculate, and it will help you as well to replicate this after. And it comes to easy to replicate. The models I built usually they're easy to replicate because you are constructing schedules that you can easily use for other models if you need, but you know the calculation, so you're not just plugging schedules together, you're plugging knowledge together. It's modular, but at the same time you are making that modular, you are making that way to connect different types of schedules together to make a new financial model. So learn this from scratch. Learn how to do the calculation. The more you know about it, don't just replicate things from other people. Replicate your own. Have your own, how can I say, collection of knowledge of different schedules, different business structure that you can go on and plug together, put them together, and have a new financial model every time. No hard code numbers whatsoever, no external links. The hard code numbers needs to be all together on one page, like the assumptions page, so you make sure you have control over them. The rest of the model, there is nothing hard coded after that. The only hard coded numbers are on the assumptions page. It's easier to control. And then finally, no templates. And what I'm saying this is if you run across a template, deconstruct it. Don't just use it. Don't try to just plug your numbers on a person on another company's template. It's not going to work. And if it does work, it's not going to be correct. It's not going to be the full picture that you need from your company. You need to build a financial model specific for each business you're working with. Try to be very specific to that business, and then you have the best model that you can. A template that claims to attend everybody will attend nobody, will serve to nobody, because it's going to be so complex, the formulas to make sure they are ready for any type of business. The formula is going to be so complex or so generic, it won't be a good fit for you. Try to understand what you need and how to model that, and make your own templates for each company that you model. So I'm just gonna add a little bit about, I didn't talk about this on the webinar, but I wanna add a little bit about my course that is coming up. It's coming up in April. Um, it's going to be very complete if you want to learn the three statement model. We are going to build one from scratch. We are going to use the global best practices in the market. You're going to learn how to build excellent model the way it's built for the big institutes and the big banks. You will be ready for some certifications. I believe, I truly believe on this, that if you do the exercises, if you learn well how I am putting on the course, and if you do all the exercises, you're gonna have plenty of experience to sit for the AFM, for example, because that's the framework that I use to teach. I use one of the AFM cases, the type of cases in the AFM. I just go a little deeper, I go a little further, bringing a little more complexity to translate the real world into the AFM cases. So you'll be more than ready if you do all the cases successfully. You just need to practice for time, because the AFM you need to do in 4 hours. You need to build a financial statement in a financial model in 4 hours. But if you just practice for time after my course, you have plenty of experience, and you'll be able to understand and to understand everything about the model, and you'll be able to sit for the AFM as well. So with the course, you also acquire a clear understanding of the finances. You will develop a strong foundation in finance. That goes a little bit together, those two items, because as we are building the three statement model, it becomes a foundation. And as you're building in Excel, you develop this muscle in your head that you're going to be able to make insights about any type of financial transactions really quick. You're going to understand what happens, and you're going to make those insights right on the spot without even needing to do a full model about it. At least you know the direction where you have to go. You develop that critical sense that you so much need in finance, to know what happens, what is the impact of many type of business operation decision, of finance decision on any kind of transaction will impact something in finance, and you know how to translate. Also, after you're done with the course, if everything goes well and if you are participate well on the course, you'll be able to share this badge. It's so beautiful on your LinkedIn profile. So all your future employers and recruiters will know that you are a certified TETIC financial modeler. And that's gonna show your skills. You can be proud to show your skills in your profile on LinkedIn with that badge. So I'm doing this course with Mavin, which is a very well-known platform for cohort courses. And a cohort course means that we are going to be all there live at the same time in the class. So not only you're gonna have direct contact with me to solve your questions and to go and guide you on this learning process, but you're also going to have the other students in the class with many types of experience that they had before, to exchange ideas, to learn and to learn from each other, and also to do some networking. And it's awesome for that too. So here's the website that you can go, the link that you can go. I'm going to leave the link down below here too, so you can click and follow. Um, and I hope to see you there. Okay, so that's it. I hope to see you soon. Those are the ways you can contact me if you need anything. If you have any questions about this class today or about the course, feel free to contact me. I love getting in touch with people. LinkedIn is the most easiest way to find me. But either way, here's my email and my website too. and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.